All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're taking a full 360-degree look at GITAM's institutional standing. We're going to blend their academic rankings, their global sustainability impact, and their core financial health all into one clear, cohesive narrative. If you've ever wanted to understand the actual mechanics behind running a modern mega university, well, you are definitely in the right place. To truly wrap our heads around the scale we're dealing with right from the start, just consider this massive number, 29,000. That is the total student enrollment across GITAM's various on- and off-campus programs. Managing a population of that size, it requires incredible infrastructure, absolute precision, and, as we'll see, some serious financial backing. To make sense of an institution this large, we'll unpack it across 6 distinct pillars. GITAM at a glance. National and global rankings, championing global sustainability, financial health and growth, expansion plans and risks, and finally, the road ahead. Let's start with Section 1, GITAM at a glance. So what exactly are we looking at here? Well, it's a highly resilient foundation. We have a deemed-to-be university with over 40 years of track record, run by a professional board of governors. They employ a massive staff of 1,800 faculty members spread across key tech hubs, the Visakhapatnam, Hyderabad, and Bangalore. But you know what the most vital metric is? It's that incredibly high 82% student enrollment ratio for fiscal year 2024. Keep that number in mind, because it's literally the engine driving their entire operation. Moving on to Section 2, National and Global Rankings. Because reputation is absolutely everything in higher education, let's look at how they actually perform. Notice the official tracking data we've pulled. Right at the top, you'll see their A++ NAC grade. That's the highest grade possible, and it perfectly anchors their baseline credibility before we even start breaking down how specific subjects are performing across the country. And rather than getting lost in the broader university numbers, look at these specialized breakouts from the NIRF 2024 rankings. Their law, architecture, and pharmacy programs independently shine, all securing spots within the top 50 nationally. This tells us that their academic strength isn't just generalized. It is highly focused and competitive in key professional disciplines. Now, does that domestic success translate globally? It actually does. According to the Times Higher Education data, GITAM secures a top 100 spot domestically, ranking 88th in the THE India rankings. At the same time, they maintain a very steady, visible footprint globally, particularly highlighted in business, economics, and engineering. Let's pivot slightly to Section 3, Championing Global Sustainability. Here's the thing about modern mega universities. They are no longer just graded on test scores and job placements. They're increasingly judged on their measurable impact on the world. Looking at the THE impact rankings for the UN Sustainable Development Goals, GITAM scores remarkably high. We're talking top 200 globally for climate action and top 300 for clean water and sanitation. They're clearly investing heavily in global challenges. And they aren't just making claims either. This commitment to sustainable practices is rigorously validated by outside authorities. Grabbing the number 46 spot in India by QS Sustainability and an impressive number 6 nationally in the UI Green metric system pretty much proves that green initiatives are baked right into their institutional DNA. Which brings us to Section 4, Financial Health and Growth. Okay, time to step out of the classroom and into the boardroom. We need to examine the actual business of education. This is an actual press release from Infomeric's ratings from May 2024. It's fascinating because while it reaffirms their IVR A rating, the outlook was upgraded from stable to positive. Now, credit rating agencies don't just hand out upgrades for fun, so let's look at the numbers that justify this. To visualize exactly why that upgrade happened, just look at this revenue jump. Operating income surged from roughly 671 crore in fiscal year 2022 to over 861 crore in fiscal year 2023. That is a massive jump of nearly 30% in just a single year. Growth like that doesn't happen by magic, right? It's directly driven by core operational successes. They saw better tuition fee collections, full hostels, full mess halls, and remember that robust 82% enrollment ratio we highlighted earlier? That's exactly what's paying the bills here. Consequently, their EBITDA margins, their operational profitability, improved nicely from around 30% up to nearly 34%. Furthermore, they've significantly strengthened their fundamental financial foundation. By retaining their earnings, they've lowered their overall gearing ratio, meaning they're relying less heavily on debt relative to their equity. Plus, they comfortably improved their interest coverage ratio from 5.18 up to 8.55 times. It's an incredibly solid financial footing.
Let's look at Section 5, Expansion Plans and Risks.
Because managing a university of this enormous size naturally comes with grounded realities and significant risks that we need to neutrally examine. See this number? 457.54 crore. That is the massive projected cost for ambitious renovation and construction expansions planned across their Hyderabad, Visakhapatnam, and Bangalore campuses. Growth requires capital, and this is major capital expenditure. Now, this breakdown visually separates the ambition from the financial burden. The vast majority of this expansion, over 350 crore of it, is heavily funded by external debt. So while their current financials are strong, taking on this level of debt introduces high project implementation risks. If there are any construction delays, it could severely impact their margins. And aside from strict construction timelines aiming for a fiscal year 2026 completion, there are broader structural risks to consider. They constantly have to navigate an absolute maze of government regulations, relying on approvals from bodies like the UGC and AICTE. Plus, the higher education sector in India is fiercely competitive. They're constantly fighting numerous other institutes for the same pool of prospective students. Finally, Section 6, the road ahead. Let's see how all these dynamics shape GITAM's future trajectory. The good news in the near term is that their liquidity remains remarkably strong. They're generating plenty of cash to easily meet their immediate debt obligations, and they're keeping their overdraft utilization really low, at just around 18% over the last year. So day to day, the engine is running very smoothly. But the crux of the issue is that their positive rating outlook entirely hinges on execution. Ultimately, everything relies on their continued ability to attract students to those highly ranked programs, maintain that 82% enrollment ratio we keep talking about, and actually collect those fees on time. That's the only way they'll offset the burden of those massive new campus expansions. It's a truly fascinating balancing act between educational impact and financial reality, which leaves us with one big question. As GITAM balances massive debt-funded campus expansion with top-tier academic and sustainability goals, will these financial strategies successfully secure its place as India's premier mega university? It's a bold move, and we'll definitely be watching closely to see how it unfolds. Thank you for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the data, and I'll catch you next time.